Be confident, be bold, be authentic, but don't forget to take action. This is Ordinary to Badass, where our stories empower women to step into the spotlight of their own lives and pursue what they're truly passionate about. It's time to step into the arena and become more than just extraordinary. It's time to become a badass with your host, Marie Sonneman.
Welcome to Ordinary to Badass, episode number 25. In this episode, I talked to Mallory Whitfield. We talk about her one-person show, inclusivity, and trauma. I know that you're going to love this episode. But before we get to my talk with Mallory, I want you to know about my new manifesto. It's called At the Core of Being a Badass. I'm really looking to change how people view a badass. Everybody believes a badass is tough, uncompromising, or an intimidating person. But ordinary to badass women, they're tough all right, in their willingness to grow, their uncompromising belief in themselves, and they support and uplift the women around them. That's a true badass to me. So I'd be so grateful if you checked out the manifesto At the Core of Being a Badass at www.ordinarytobadass.com. Check it out and let me know what you thought. And now to the episode. Welcome to Ordinary to Badass. Whether you're ordinary or badass, I'm glad you're here. We are all striving to be confident, bold, and authentic so we can step into the arena and live a life that we're passionate about. Today's guest is Mallory Whitfield. Mallory, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So first off, before we go any further, I've got to ask you, do you consider yourself to be ordinary or badass?
Oh, so I was thinking about this and I feel like this is a trick question because I feel like I'm supposed to say badass, which yes, but I also feel like everyone is badass, which makes that ordinary. Like, okay. I think that even if there are those of us who maybe haven't discovered our own badassery, like we all have some inherent badass in us, and that agree. Makes that ordinary. So it's like a chicken or egg situation.
I like the perspective switch. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Ooh, yeah, where to begin? So my name is Mallory Whitfield. I live in New Orleans, Louisiana, which is a great place to hang.
Yeah.
I have done so many things over the years. I'm currently focused on professional speaking. I produced a one-person show in July 2019 that is now called Towards Together, a vision for a kinder, more inclusive world. So it's all about loving ourselves and loving other people and accepting all of the things that are weird and normal and different about all of us. And
I love it.
Not judging ourselves, not judging other people. So that's my main thing, but I've done so many other things over the years. I've been an entrepreneur, starting out with like selling handmade products way back in the day after college, and then teaching myself marketing through that, and then working full-time in marketing for the last 5 years or so. I still do a little bit of that on the side, working with tech startups and all sorts of things.
So can you tell me about your one-person show and how that started and came to be?
Yeah. So I have always sort of been a performer. I did a lot of theater growing up, starting around like age 11 or 12 or so. I did a lot of children's theater through like high school. And then through college, I started doing some more theater too, and kind of got burnt out on it actually during college and stopped doing any sort of performance for about 10 years. And then once I started doing marketing work, I ended up having to do some public speaking on behalf of the jobs I was doing, having to teach social media and search engine optimization to some of our clients. And around that time, I also got back into performing in a very different way through doing drag performance. So I've always been interested in drag queens and all that sort of stuff. And I joined this thing called the New Orleans Drag Workshop that teaches the art of drag performance to anyone, no matter what their gender identity. And so I started performing again, and I was speaking, and I was starting to realize that public speaking professionally was a career option. Like people get paid to do this for a living.
Right.
So that was all about 2014. So about 5 years ago now. And since then I've sort of had this idea in my head of like, oh, I want to speak professionally. Like, how do I make that my full-time job? But I was, going through the path of trying to figure out how to make that happen. I started to realize I didn't really want to speak just about marketing. I did that for a while, and it's just not where my heart and my passion is. It's a really useful tool. But when I started really digging into it, I realized that what I care about is making sure that all people feel included and welcomed, and that I hate it when I judge other people. I hate it when I feel judged. I hate it when other people judge other people. It's just not super productive, but it's something that we sort of all naturally do.
Yeah.
And I think there's evolutionary reasons why we do that, but I think it doesn't serve the same purpose now, and it harms us more than helps us. So all of that sort of was playing in the back of my head. And then about 1.5 years ago, I went through a whole lot of life changes all at once and sort of took it as a sign that this is really what I need to pursue. I really need to push myself into shifting into professional speaking full time. I signed up with this program called Heroic Public Speaking. They're based in New Jersey, and they work with some of the top keynote professional speakers in the world. So I've been doing a lot of training with them over the last year and a half or so. And through working with them, they have this really amazing process for writing content for the stage as well as a rehearsal process. And they helped me put together the first draft of what's become my one-person show / keynote performance.
Oh, fun.
So I was working with them in the spring of this year, 2019, and I drafted earlier versions of what's become this show. And I had this moment where I got asked to do a short version of it, 25 minutes, at New Orleans Entrepreneur Week, which I'd spoken at here a few times previously in New Orleans. And I realized like having that deadline was really helpful for me. So I had to just get something done. I didn't have a script for what they wanted me to speak about, but having an actual deadline of having to do it in front of people pushed me to get it done, pushed me to get it audience ready.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I realized, oh wait, having a deadline helped me so much this one time. Let me do it again for myself. So I was working on a 1 hour full length version of this, but I didn't have a gig lined up. So I basically created my own gig.
Awesome.
In April of last year, I put down a deposit on this small theater venue where I've done like burlesque and cabaret before, put down a deposit and just booked myself a gig for July 19th. So I was like, within 3 months, I'm going to have to perform this thing for people, whether, it's ready or not. So I better be ready.
Sounds a little bit terrifying. I mean, exciting, but terrifying,
Yes. And both things for sure. One of the other things that happened is like when I set out a goal and a deadline to do something that big, I started to realize like I couldn't do it all myself. Even though it's a one-person show, it takes a lot of people behind the scenes to really make it happen. Because what I'd realized, like even working on the shorter version of this, the 25-minute version, it helped to have other people to get feedback from them, to figure out like what was working, what wasn't, because I'm not performing it for no one. Like I'm performing it for other people. So it helps to get the feedback on what's working with different audiences. So I reached out to some different folks. Namely, I reached out to a local director here in New Orleans who's worked a lot in different theater stuff. She lived in New York for a while, worked there. So she helped me do the final 5 or 6 weeks of rehearsal to have an extra set of eyes and ears and help direct everything. I had a friend of mine who does some fun film stuff come over, and we shot the intro video for my one-person show together because I have a whole set of different characters that come on stage on the screen before I walk on stage. And I enlisted other friends to support and helped me get the word out there. Another friend of mine works for a local TV station, and I got to go on TV a few days before my show to talk about it.
Awesome.
So it was this sort of it takes a village, even when it's a one-person show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you talk about that a little bit? You said you can't do it all by yourself. I think a lot of times
Yeah.
we think like we have to tough this out. We have to do it all on our own. But can you kind of talk about your experience of if you did it on your own for a while and then what it was like when you had help from others?
Yeah, I mean, I've often wanted to do everything myself, and that's something I still have to remind myself not to do as much. Like I've gotten a lot better. I've learned a lot of things over the years, but it's something that I'm naturally inclined to do, is sort of isolate myself, try to do it all myself. Because I can get a lot done. I think I have a capacity to get more done in a certain amount of time than many people do when it comes to certain types of things. But that doesn't mean that I should do that. That doesn't mean that's healthy for me. I've definitely tried to do that and gotten to the place where I was burnt out, where I wasn't feeling like I was at the top of my game. Self-compassion has been a big lesson for me in the last year, both towards that goal as well as just feeling better as a human being in general. Realizing that like, yeah, I can't get it all done, and all the things on my to-do list will probably never all get done, and that's okay. And I have to just be cool with that.
Right,
Sometimes
right.
let the things go.
So what do you do to show yourself self-compassion?
I mean, I think it's like a conscious effort, like noticing what's happening in your thoughts, in your body, in your reactions to things that are happening both internally and externally. So a lot of my self-compassion work, there's a great book actually called Self-Compassion. It's written by Dr. Kristen Neff. And that book was where I kind of learned about this idea. And then I've worked with my therapist on it, and have some other great friends who are familiar with this same sort of work, who are really amazing as well. But I think the first step is noticing, is being aware of like the negative self-talk that you have. I used to be much worse about the first place my mind would go if something went wrong was to call myself stupid, to blame things on myself. And I look back and I think a lot of that, I was in a long-term relationship until about a year and a half ago. And a lot of this work, this self-work has happened since then. I think a lot of what happened with me being in that relationship and some of that behavior, I think was, unresolved childhood stuff and cultural stuff that we all grow up with, right? That we all kind of have to like shake off eventually. But I think to some extent, I would try to take that blame back onto myself or call myself stupid, because I think in some small way that was like me trying to get the power back in the situation.
What do you mean by that?
Like somehow if I could blame myself for whatever was going wrong, then at least it was my fault, and at least then some part of me thought I could fix it. Right? Versus like, if it's just like, well, there's some things that are out of our control. There are some things that we can't control because of whatever circumstances or whoever else is involved. And there's a vulnerability in that, in releasing that control. And that vulnerability and self-compassion are two of the things that I've definitely had to learn and grow with in the last year and a half, and am still growing and learning.
Yes. I feel like self-compassion and confidence, self-esteem, all that stuff, it's one of those things you just have to keep working on over and over again. Otherwise, it just can fall by the wayside so easily.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just constant awareness and checking in. And it's like anything else, you learn it in stages. I don't think it comes all at once.
Right.
Like a constant chipping away.
Right. I know, like everybody always talks like, oh, if I was only in high school again, or if I was only in college, it's like, because you wouldn't have as much knowledge as you have now. You wouldn't have all the experience that has gotten you to where you are now. Yeah.
I mean, and wouldn't the world be a better place if somehow we could all be these enlightened people at age 13? But like, that's not human nature. I mean,
right. Totally.
The brain is not fully developed until like age 24 or something. So what are you going to do?
Yep, it's life. So let's shift and talk a little bit about your wins. Can you share with us something that you're most proud of accomplishing?
I mean, doing a one-person show is probably my biggest accomplishment so far. And I was really excited too, because so I had a friend of mine, I paid a friend of mine to come and film it, because I knew for speaking, having video of you speaking is a huge thing. So I paid him to come film it. I cut together a small trailer of the show within the next few weeks and had redone my website like a month or so after I launched this one person show. So like mid-August of this year, I launched a new website. I had this trailer video. I had another speaker reel that I'd shot earlier in the summer, but it wasn't finished yet. And like a week after I launched my new website, I got my first possible speaking gig lead, which hasn't come to anything, but like I got a lead through the website that I launched a week ago, which was amazing.
Which is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like a week after that, I got a lead for a speaking gig, which turned into my first paid engagement of this new show that I had just created.
Yeah.
So I went and did a version of this show as the keynote for Diversity Week at West Texas A&M University on September 24th.
Yeah.
So like just over 2 months after I launched this one person show, I actually did it as a paid gig at a university, which was amazing.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah. So
what is something that most people don't know about what it took to accomplish that?
Which part? The show or getting the gig?
The show, like putting putting it all together, and making it happen.
Yeah. I mean, I've talked some about what happened behind the scenes, but one of the things is that when I signed up for this program, Heroic Public Speaking, it is a big commitment, both in time and money. It's really like doing grad school for public speaking. They have the program is called grad, and it's called that for a reason. And there was a moment early on when we were still in the writing process before we'd actually gone to doing in-person trainings there in New Jersey. I almost quit. I had like a Zoom call where I was on a call with the head of the program, and she basically had to like talk me off the ledge. I was like in tears and crying and all in my feels and ready to like throw in the towel and all of it. I was like, what am I doing? Am I even supposed to be doing this at all? But I pulled it together and I just kept at it. I mean, I think for so many things that are truly impactful or important, we often have that moment where we almost throw in the towel.
Yes.
Right? At some point that we're like, who am I to do this? Should I be doing this at all? Like, why me? So I think that's really normal.
It's totally normal. What do you do to combat that? Is it kind of the self-compassion thing you were talking about earlier or something else?
Yeah, I mean, I think self-compassion is a huge part of it. I also, around that time, the beginning of this year, I have a friend that I had lost contact with for a long time, and we had sort of started to reconnect. And he's really good at just chilling out and relaxing, like almost too good, you know?
Yeah.
But having that person that was so good at just being super lazy, like kind of helped me understand how to relax in a way that I hadn't been able to relax in a very long time, if ever. We would just spend days like this spring going to eat crawfish or watching TV or hanging out with his dog. And that sort of stuff, having that way to like recenter and not focus on the work, I've realized now, like I took a break this summer too, a couple weeks after I did the one person show, like a few weeks after I did the one person show, because I'd been working on that for like 3 months straight. I took a week vacation, essentially, ended up going to the beach with a friend, hung out, didn't do much work at all for a week straight. And then those weeks afterwards, when I got home, that was when I cut together the trailer video for my show. It was when I launched my new website. I got so much done in the next couple of weeks because I'd actually taken real time off.
Right. And I think that it helps for creativity too, is taking a break, getting some space from whatever you're doing constantly, can ignite something new or a new passion or excitement in you. But it's hard, I'll say, because sometimes you just want to put your head down and do the work and keep trying, but space is actually what you need.
Yeah. And I have to, again, it's just like the self-compassion and the noticing things. It's like once you start to be more aware of your own nuances and what works or doesn't work for you, and just notice them and then figure out what things can help you get past those humps or help you feel better. Because it's different for everybody. Like, I really enjoy spending time outside. So if I find myself too much in that negative headspace, I'll be like, okay, Mallory, you just need to like take a break, go for a walk, go for a run. Like, even if I don't have a lot of time that day, maybe it's just like literally walking around the block just to get some fresh air and some sunshine.
Right.
Because vitamin D can do you some good.
Absolutely. I'm a big believer in like either walks or run or just being in nature, period.
Yeah.
So let's switch and talk a little bit about your struggles. Tell us about a time when you gave up, but now you wish you wouldn't have.
I mean, I feel like I have a tendency to persevere now. I feel like it was a lot harder when I was a kid. And a lot of those times I don't necessarily regret. Like, so I actually left high school a year and a half early. Got my parents to pull me out. I was like homeschooled briefly and then got my GED early. I don't regret that though, because I still went through college. Like, I have a college degree. It was formal education, I don't think is for everybody. It has nothing to do with how smart you are or anything like that. That's like a whole other podcast episode we can do about my thoughts on the education system in this country. But yeah, I mean, I think the times that I like quit or didn't persevere, there are some times when I was like a little kid, before you're really too old to realize, like, times where I felt like I didn't fit in or like I didn't know how to make friends with people. Like, I participated in soccer for most of a whole season, like in 6th grade, and then got to the point where I was just like, I quit. And I think we were like a month or two from the whole thing being done for the year. And I don't even know why I quit, but I think it was just like I felt not good enough, or I felt like I didn't fit in.
So what led you, and maybe this is too big of an answer, but what led you to start getting into speaking about like inclusivity?
So, like I said, I had realized I wanted to do public speaking, and I'd been speaking primarily on marketing topics because that's what I've been working in for my day job. So I had this conundrum of like, I want to speak, but I don't want to speak about marketing, but I don't know what the new topic is. So I was kind of in that place for a couple of years. And for a while, I thought that I was going to position myself as a creativity and innovation speaker, which I think is still kind of a sidebar to what I do, because diversity kind of drives innovation, because we need diverse perspectives and experiences in order to create innovative solutions, because there's so many different types of people. But as far as like the way that I was going to position myself in the marketplace when it came to speaking, I like wasn't totally sure about. So summer of 2018, about a year and a half ago, I went to this. So the National Speakers Association is an association for professional speakers. And they have a conference every year, every summer, called Influence. And this was the first time that I went, and I made an appointment with this woman, Jane Atkinson, who's like a coach for speakers. And she's worked with bureaus and professional speakers for like 20, 30 years. So I did a one-on-one with her, and she had taken a look at my website and everything ahead of time, and went in, and she was like, your about page says that you do all these things. Cause like I've done so many things over the years, and I basically had them all laid out in like list format on my website, which is understandably very confusing to anybody who had never seen me before and just browsed my about page. And through talking with her and kind of realizing what I was really about, what was really at the heart of what I care about, she was like, why don't you position yourself as a diversity and inclusion speaker? And I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So it was really talking through with like a coach or somebody else who had an outside perspective for the industry that I was going into. Like, I think that coaches can be so helpful when they're really knowledgeable about whatever field you're in, because they might be able to see you in a way that we don't. Like, even with, I have a specialty in marketing, but sometimes I can be like my own worst marketer because I'm so like in my own head about things.
Right. Kind of like they say like about mechanics too, like mechanics can fix other people's car, but then their own, I don't know.
Yeah. Or like the cobbler's kid never has any shoes. Poor little kids.
Right.
Poor shoeless children.
So it sounds like you just kind of, you knew that some form of speaking was what you were passionate about, but you just kept trying one thing after the next until you felt or found what fit.
Yeah. I mean, and in some ways I feel like I'm still doing that, right? Because I have this show that I've created, which I've been able to position and do as a paid keynote a couple times so far, but it's still not to the point where that's my full-time job. I'm working my way there, but I'm still doing some marketing stuff on the side. So one of the things that I've learned from going to meetings of the National Speakers Association and meeting so many different professional speakers in this one field that I'm trying to transition into, there's so many different ways to do this business. And I think that's true for so many industries, is that we see these people who've like made it, quote unquote, who seem like, yeah, they've just like figured it all out. And what you don't see most of the times is the fact that it probably took them 10 years to be an overnight success, that whole thing. Right. But also there's all these different ways to do so many different industries, so many different careers. But we often see the people who are good at tooting their own horns, who tell you I figured out the exact way that you should do it too. It's just because it worked for you that way doesn't mean it'll necessarily work for somebody else that way. It might, but it might not too.
Yeah. And I think I feel like the internet and being able to have online businesses and stuff has also helped to kind of expand people's knowledge base a little bit, or to know that there's different stuff out there and not just one way to go about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And I'm a firm believer, everything that you do adds up to something else. It leads to a bigger purpose. You just might not know it in advance,
Yeah. I mean, I've had such a winding career. I started out doing performance type stuff when I was a kid, thought that that's what I was going to do for college. For a long time when I was younger, thought that I wanted to try to go to Juilliard or NYU to pursue acting in theater. And that didn't happen. But here I am years later, and I've just spent a year training with two people who have their MFAs in acting from NYU and Yale. It's kind of full circle, just in a much different way than I had envisioned it.
Yeah, but it's also pretty freaking awesome. If you don't have to pay to go to NYU or to, you know what I mean, but you still get to the same place just through practice and working on it, I think that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, there's also one thing that's really been helpful for me over the last 5 years or so is different personality tests and what insight that's given into what works best for me, my individual strengths and weaknesses, as well as to some extent trying to understand people that I'm close to, that I work with. It helps me understand how they work too, but mostly for the insights it gives me about myself. I remember the first one I took was a Strengths Finder, which is a book, and it's 30 something different strengths, and it tells you your top 5. And my number 2 strength is learner, which also equates to being a good teacher often, which ties into so much of the work that I am doing with public speaking. And so many of the different tests that I've taken have given me insights into continuing to understand better and better what works for me and what doesn't work for me. So I can focus on the stuff that works for me instead of trying to overcome something that's just never going to be a good natural fit for me.
Right. So I have to ask, there's a lot of those tests that I just don't feel like have done anything for me or given me any knowledge. I haven't done the Strengths Finder. But what was your favorite out of all of those that you took?
I mean, Strengths Finder was pretty big for me. I don't know if it was just because it was the first one, but that one's pretty impactful. I will also say too, the Heroic Public Speaking program that I'm at, over the last year, they at some point added in picture frames the results for each of their staff members.
Oh,
so you can actually see everybody's top 5 strengths, which is really cool. So it's and I know a lot of other people who are involved in personal growth, self-development, who really like that one. And it's we did it through work, but I think pretty much anybody could do it. You buy the book on Amazon, and I think with that, it comes with the referral code to take the quiz or whatever. Right. So it's not one of the crazy expensive ones. There's some of them that some organizations and companies do for their employees that I think cost a lot of money, but just whatever, don't worry about this.
Right.
Another one that has nothing to do with career stuff that's really helped me a lot, and I haven't even read the book or anything for this, I only took the quiz, is the Love Languages profile.
Oh yeah.
So I know that there's a book, haven't read it, can't speak to the book, right. But there's 5 love languages, and just understanding that, I I've started and making friends and family take it too. I'm like, I wish I discovered this years ago. Like maybe my relationship with my ex would have been better if I like had these insights like 10 years ago.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Have you ever taken the Enneagram?
I haven't. So I can't speak to that one.
Right.
That's one of the few. I've never taken the Myers-Briggs either, so I don't know.
Yeah, I've taken Myers-Briggs and there's a couple other ones. I did like the Enneagram. That was the only one. I think Ian Crone wrote a book, The Road Back to You. And that one was really good. And I felt like, oh, this is talking about me, you know, but a lot of the other ones, for some reason, they just didn't resonate with me. But
yeah.
So let's move on and let's talk about a story about one of the hardships that you faced and how you used it to get to where you are now.
Well, I mean, my whole life kind of like came imploding last summer of 2018. So like, I think I mentioned this briefly, but I was in a relationship for about 15 years. We weren't married, but it was basically that, minus the paperwork. And so that had kind of like 6 to 9 months prior to that summer, kind of started to like be on the rocks, and we were trying to do therapy and work things out. And then summer of 2018, I was starting to realize like I really had to end it. I had to walk away. It just wasn't working. And I just started with a new therapist who I still go to, who's amazing. I had this realization, like I need to end it. And then I go into work that Monday morning, a couple days after this, and my boss tells me that, so the president of the company decided to split and sell this company. So your full-time salary job is about to become part-time contract. So that happened.
Stressful.
I was like, great. So I was already trying to figure out how to change this other huge part of my life. And now I have two things to deal with.
Right.
But I kind of had this moment where I realized like, this feels like a sign almost. And I don't even know if I believe in like signs from the universe, but it still felt like this is an opportunity for me to do something differently. Mm-hmm. So actually, like, I think a couple of days later, like 2 days after I got this news about my job, that's when I signed up to attend the live conference for this heroic public speaking program. Mm-hmm. I was like, well, I might as well just try to go all in on this speaking thing if my job is getting ripped out from underneath me in a way. So the job thing kind of fell apart, and it was handled in a really weird way by the owner of the company. And it was a lot to deal with in those next few weeks. And then I finally like left my partner, and then my dog, who was like 16 years old, who'd been, getting older and older, had to be put down at the end of the month. So it was like 3 things in 1 month.
Right. When it rains, it pours.
Yeah, it was like that. But I don't know. It was life hands you lemons and you start making lemonade. And the lemonade took me a very long time to make, and I'm still making it. Like, it's not, there's some pulp in there I got to strain out,
Right. No, I don't know. I'm a believer too. I'm a fan of therapy and getting your shit out. Just because the longer we hold on to stuff and just dwell on it, you get like trauma from the trauma,
Yeah. So that's actually one of the parts in my one-person show. Like, so I have these 4 parts that's kind of broken up into, and one of them is all about compassion. And I talk about the self-compassion stuff. But I also, as I was going through this whole process, like a month or 2 after all this stuff had happened, I think it was maybe the day that my dad was helping me move stuff into my new apartment, actually. I was listening to a podcast on the drive. It's The Hilarious World of Depression, which they interview a lot of comedians and celebrities who struggle with different mental health issues. And this particular episode, it was Andrew Zimmern, the host of the Bizarre Food Show, the Travel Channel. And he's a former drug addict and alcoholic. And he said something that I was just like, oh my gosh, yes. Like, why have I never like thought about this like this or heard this before? He said, trauma that's not transformed is transferred.
Yes.
And hearing that like a few weeks after like all of this stuff with my ex, I was just like, oh my gosh, yes, like shit.
Yeah.
Like all this stuff that I'd been dealing with him, it was like, you know, because he dealt with a lot of stuff like as a kid. I was the same day dealing with my dad, and my dad was helping me move, so there was a lot of like parent issue stuff, and I was just like, oh my god, we're just like all passing like pain around, like this is all just like this like crazy cycle of pain and trauma, and this is ridiculous, and like I have to try to like put an end to this and stop pushing it forward anymore, like as best I can. And that's kind of really been a big part of my mission over the last like year or so, is like trying to at least not put any more trauma or pain into the world towards other people. And if I can possibly help other people figure out how to start on the process of ending their own cycles, like if we could all just be more cognizant of our own trauma so that we stop passing it to more people, maybe eventually the fire wouldn't have any more oxygen, you know?
Right. And so you used to have a podcast called Badass Creatives, correct?
Yeah.
And then, so I'm sure you can relate to this, but I think a lot of people think like badass is being tough, is being strong and just powering through it. But it's like, I think it's actually tougher to feel the emotions and feel what you feel and go through it than to just like be like, not let it penetrate or get to you. I don't know. I just feel like it's actually harder to feel their emotions.
Yeah. Well, that was another big lesson for me over this last year and a half, right? Like, so when this whole breakup process started with my ex, we were originally going to couples counseling. And I think I remember having this moment in the therapist office where I was like, can't you just tell me how to fix it? Like, I don't want to have to feel things. Like, why do I have to feel things?
Right.
And what I realized is like, I think a lot of that came, you know, from my parents, like it does for so many of us, right? Some of it's cultural. And my dad, especially, like I had this moment a year or so with him where he was upset and I was trying to explain myself to him and some of the stuff like as a kid. And he starts crying and he's like, you know, I was never allowed to like cry or feel emotion as a kid, which got passed on to me. Like I kind of grew up like that, not wanting to really feel emotion. And I think, especially for guys, I think it's even more part of our cultural that, you know, guys, but people too, all people of all genders, like it's okay for us to have certain emotions expressed publicly, but then other certain emotions are frowned upon, and to feel like, you know, sadness and vulnerability and things are often frowned upon, but somehow like anger and violence are weirdly okay, even though we want to talk about like violence in video games or whatever, but it's like somehow
right.
that's more acceptable or something.
Yeah. And even I feel like there's a time limit on how you can feel a certain way. Like even say when somebody dies, you know, you can cry the first day, but then it's not expected after that, or expected that you're back to normal and okay, you know?
Right.
So I know that you said that you got out of a relationship of 15 years. Have you ever dealt with any like societal norms and expectations about you and what you should be or what you should do?
I mean, I've had moments of, like my dad is definitely more traditional, conservative as far as that sort of stuff. You know, my mom is a much different type of free spirit person. So she's never really put the pressure on me about like, where are my grandbabies and all that stuff. And my sister is also giving them plenty, so it's fine.
Nice.
But but yeah, I mean, I've had moments where, you know, my dad or somebody else will want to say something like, oh, you might change your mind about kids.
Mm-hmm.
I have like pretty much always known, even from when I was not much more than a kid, from at least when I was like a teenager, like I've never wanted children. I've always been very clear on that.
Right.
You know, Elizabeth Gilbert, the author of Eat, Pray, Love and Big Magic, I've heard her talk about how some women are meant to be mothers. Some women are meant to be aunties. Some women are not meant to have children at all in their lives.
Right.
And I think I'm like meant to be an aunt. Like my sister's kids, I was with them at Thanksgiving. They're great. And as soon as I'm around, like they don't even care that grandma's there. Like they just want to play with Aunt Mallory. But I can't do that full time. I'm not built to be a mother. My sister is totally built to be my mom. She is a great mom. I'm not built that way.
Hey, you can play with them and then send them back to mom and dad.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about your mindset. Tell me about your mindset and how it has led to your badassery.
I mean, my mindset is a continual work in progress. It's gotten so much healthier over the last year and a half, with regards to self-compassion. Like, I think I always, for the most part, even when I was younger, felt like I had a lot of self-esteem. But I think sometimes we look to self-esteem to be like the main thing. And I think it's not as powerful as something like self-compassion can be. So now I try to focus on that as far as like my mindset. Also for me, trying to figure out what are the things that work for me to recharge myself, to keep myself feeling mentally healthy, physically healthy. I try to be more mindful about some sort of physical exercise. I've never been like a super big fitness person. But I'll try to at least get outside and go for a walk, or occasionally go for a run, or try to like do yoga in the morning or the evening when I can, especially if I find myself in kind of a darker, crankier place mentally or physically feeling bad. I was like, oh, these are the moments that I really need to stretch, or I need to go outside or do something.
And
So,
do you notice that has a change or has an effect on you when you do those things?
heck yes. Yeah. I mean, even earlier today, I was kind of in a funk because I at the part of my month where I'm having to work on one of my like paid marketing projects that's like pays my bills, but is not my favorite. It's like a necessary evil right now. And every time it comes this time of the month, it's like puts me just like not in the best headspace.
Mm-hmm.
And I found myself earlier, I was like looking at my calendar. I was like, okay, you know what I can do? I can take a bath tonight. I can like, and I was never this person. I have not been like a bath person. I'm just like, the efficiency of a shower is all I need. That's fine. But I found myself for the last few months, occasionally I'm like, it's nice to turn off most of the lights in the bathroom, light a candle, pour some Epsom salts in, and take a freaking bath. And I think I'm going to do that tonight.
And Epsom salt is a miracle worker. I love it.
Yeah.
And I never even believed in that stuff before. Just anything, I'd be like, no, that's not going to work. But once I tried it, I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm very skeptical like that about a lot of things. Another personality test that I really love is Gretchen Rubin's The Four Tendencies.
Oh, yeah.
And I am a questioner, which I think explains a lot about my skepticism about everything. Like, but the Epsom salt thing, I think there's like scientific basis for that drawing toxins out of our bodies.
Yes, absolutely. I had like fractured my ankle really horribly, and used Epsom salt for the first time. And then I was just a fan after that.
Yeah.
So do you have any tips or tricks to help us improve our mindset?
I mean, I think notice what is working for you or what is causing you to be in a negative mind space. Like journaling was one of the things that was helpful for me, especially when I was in the much darker space, to try to figure out what's working for me, what's not working for me, as well as just to like get it out of my head. Like if it's all knocking around in my head, like the thoughts are just pinballing out inside of my brain, it's too much. Therapy is amazing if you can find a therapist who, you know, that you can afford or that works for you. Cause I know it's just like any other relationship. It can be tricky to find the right person.
Yes. And if it's not a good fit, find somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that.
And the one that I have now, who is amazing, was recommended to me by a friend of mine. So, you know, if you know people who are in therapy or whatever, like recommendations from friends can be really helpful for that sort of thing as far as finding one initially.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you have a mantra or meditation practice?
You know what, I was about to say that I don't have a mantra, but as I was about to answer that question, so when I was in high school, I used to be really into the beats, like from 1950s, like Jack Kerouac, Allen Ginsberg. And I was thinking about this the other day. I've always wanted to get this tattooed and I haven't yet, but maybe I should. So Jack Kerouac, in one of his things, there's this quote, "Be in love with your life." And it's like so simple, but it is like a mantra. It's like, what can you do today to try to be in love with your life as much as possible? Because that seems like a much bigger ask, but I think it could be simple things too.
Yeah. And it sounds so cliche, but it's like seriously, you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring you or what you'll have tomorrow. And so, I don't know, you got to live for today, and you have to be, like you said, be in love with your life and where you're at today.
Yeah. I mean, that was realizing how short and precious life can be. I had a big wake up call about 5-6 years ago now. A friend who was like 43 at the time, within like a month or two, was diagnosed with cancer. Then she was going to get the surgery for the cancer. But then before that even happened, she had a stroke and then another stroke and then was in hospice and then died. And this person, Veronica, was like one of the most incredibly creative people that I've ever known. She was such a multifaceted artist and such an inspiration. And like, she lived her life balls to the wall while she was here.
Nice.
And so rather than being really sad and mourning her, I've tried to honor her by living my life in the kind of way that she lived hers.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the best that any of us can do, right? Is like to try to live each day, each moment as if it might be our last, because maybe it will be. We don't know.
And sometimes it takes something like knowing somebody like that and then like death or something horrible happening to them to kind of put it in perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you could share one tip that you wish that every woman knew about, what would it be?
I feel like I've preached on and on about this whole self-compassion thing, but like there's a reason.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes we need to hear things more than once.
Yeah. I think too, like the whole putting on your own oxygen mask first, especially for women. Like I think this is one of the things that I've seen my mom having a hard time doing. And I know I sometimes have a hard time doing it. And I think women culturally are kind of trained to do this, to look out for everybody else first.
Yeah.
Especially women who are moms or in some sort of like caregiver position. It's like, oh, you have to take care of this person and this person and this person. It's like, you can't take care of anybody else if you can't breathe. That's why the airplane attendant tells you to put on your own oxygen mask first. There's a reason.
Yes, absolutely. And part of it's just in our nature, you know, even like as an aunt, always wanting to help my niece and nephews. So I don't know. I think part of it is just kind of in women's nature.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it, like anything else, it just takes conscious effort and practice.
Yeah. And then also kind of determining what your priorities are and what you want to say yes to, and then what really isn't helping you or beneficial to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Determining your priorities. Like, I found a tip about this a couple of years ago that I've started using. I don't remember who it was, in Fast Company in some article or something. So I don't remember the woman who came up with it, but it was about this, like creating a matrix, of like top four priorities. And then you can have like about 3 sub priorities within that. So basically like take a sheet of paper, divide it into 4 quadrants, right? And then think about 4 kind of overarching priorities. Like maybe one is career, one is like family, one is personal development stuff, and one is like what kind of change you want to make in the world, right? And then within that, 3 like sub priorities are like your max, right? So like at most you have 12 priorities and maybe less. So, and it's not that you can't occasionally focus on other stuff, but that if it starts being like too much stuff outside of these 12 things is taking up too much of your time, maybe you need to refocus. Maybe you need to redo your list. Maybe you don't care as much about some of the things that you thought you did.
And I mean, let's face reality. We can't be good at everything. We can't do just everything out there and be efficient or be great at all of it. Sometimes you just have to kind of pick what's really important to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you get inspired and stay motivated?
I mean, I can be a little ADD when it comes to like inspiration and how I fill my day. And I am self-employed now, so it kind of works for me to do that. I don't have to do stuff in the particular order that somebody else is telling me I have to do it. I kind of need to brain dump stuff so that I have a list of things to do. So it's not all rattling around in my head, so that when I get inspiration, I know where I can like dump it out. So it's not just like gnawing at the inside of my brain. I use a lot of to-do lists, both written on paper and digitally. Like I love the notes app in my phone for when inspiration strikes, or when I see some book I want to read or some movie I want to watch or whatever. I dump it in either the Notes app on iPhone because it syncs to my like laptop, desktop. Or I use an app called Todoist. So it kind of depends. I use them for different types of things. Like Todoist, I'll use more for recurring monthly tasks. Like I need to pay rent this month and I need to set up a reminder so I don't forget to do that. Or I'll also have a Todoist project where it's just like stuff I want to watch that I don't want to forget about, but I don't necessarily want to watch it right now. So if I see some new Netflix show or something, I'll throw it in there to just remind myself so that if I'm like, oh wait, what do I want to watch on Netflix? I want to watch something new. I have a list of things to refer back to so that I'm not overtaken with the insane algorithmic queue of like a million new things on Netflix because that happens every time.
So it's like to-do list, but minus the L, is that right?
Yeah, it's Todoist. Let me make sure it's spelling right. Yeah, Todoist.
Okay, yeah, interesting. I'll have to check it out. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's just like a task management thing, but it's good for certain things.
Right, yeah, I'll have to check it out. So let's talk a little bit about badass advice, and this is more rapid fire. Okay. What was your turning point for accomplishing your goals and becoming a badass?
Turning point, being born. I don't know.
That works.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. So you've always been a badass. We get it.
Badass, not badass, ordinary. Chicken or the egg.
Yep. Do you have a morning routine or an evening routine that you can share with us?
I mean, again, I'm kind of ADD about the different things I do. I pretty much always have to have coffee and take a shower in the morning, though. Like, I will say that. Those are two things that I will not feel like I can function if I don't. And some sort of breakfast. Like, I know some people don't eat breakfast, which is strange to me. I'm like, how do you survive the day without eating breakfast?
Coffee's breakfast. No.
I need both. I need food and coffee.
Okay. What's one thing that you've learned from a woman in your life?
Oh, gosh. These questions. So that's like, there's so many ways that I could answer that. I feel like you know what? I don't know why I'm suddenly thinking about Dolly Parton, and I don't even know what I've learned for her, except that you can be beloved by pretty much everybody in the entire world and be 70 or 80 or 90 or however old she is, because it's pretty up there. Just being yourself and having ginormous boobs.
Can you
my answers to these questions are just ridiculous.
Can you share a habit or practice that has contributed to your success?
I feel like my coffee and breakfast routine, because breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I don't know why people are having no breakfast.
What do you wish every woman knew about confidence and overcoming obstacles?
Self-compassion.
All right. So how often do you read, and can you recommend a book and share why?
I consider myself a very slow reader. I think it might be the ADD thing a little bit. I like to listen to audiobooks too and podcasts and things, but it will often take me a while to make it through an actual book. I am currently reading Nonviolent Communication. I'm blanking on the author's name, but it's very good. Self-Compassion. I actually did that one as an audiobook, the Kristen Neff book, Self-Compassion. It is an audiobook. But another book that I did read around that time of my breakup that my therapist recommended is called When Things Fall Apart by Pema Chodron, who's a Buddhist nun. That book I usually reference in the One Person Show because it was such a big turning point for me, that book.
Awesome. What is one thing that kind of sticks out to you about that book?
About When Things Fall Apart? I almost feel like that's one of those things that's like, it should be essential reading for life for anybody. So it pulls from a lot of tenets of like Buddhism and sort of that, embracing vulnerability, embracing the fact that like to be human is in some way to suffer, to experience some sort of pain or trauma. Like that is universal and that is human, but like we will get through it. I don't know. It just shifted my perspective on things.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll put that in the show notes so people can check it out. So let's end with a tip to encourage women who are in the arena fighting for the life that they want. And if you'll also share how we can connect with you.
Yeah. So just one foot in front of the other. There's no other way to do it.
sometimes you even take a step back, and that's okay too. But
practical.
yeah.
I like it.
I mean, yeah, just keep hacking away at it and be gentle in yourself, be compassionate to yourself, because we're, nobody gets out of this life alive, but we can enjoy every moment of it as best we can and do the best with what we can.
And how can we connect with you?
Oh, right. You can find me at my website is my name, MalloryWhitfield.com. And I'm launching a new campaign for the show. And I'm going to be doing some broader social media stuff. And I'm planning a new podcast for 2020. We'll see.
Nice.
But so all of that is Towards Together. So if you go to towardstogether.com, you can learn more about the campaign in January. And eventually I'll use that same URL to direct to all of the podcasts and everything else.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Mallory, for being on the show. You've been a total badass, and I've enjoyed hearing your story.
Thank you.
And with that, we'll end our show. To all the badass women out there staying in the arena, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, own it and get after it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. If you enjoyed it, I would be so grateful if you left a review on iTunes, letting other people know what you thought of the show. This helps. So if other people are interested in Ordinary to Badass, they can look at your review and then tune into the show. It helps to grow our audience. Also, if you'll just screenshot your review and then send it to me on Instagram at Ordinary to Badass and let me know. That way I can make sure to say thank you, because I definitely appreciate you. Talk to you next week, friend.
Now that you've listened to this episode of Ordinary to Badass, we want to hear from you. Go to our website, ordinarytobadass.com/podcast, and submit your own experience on how you took your life from ordinary to badass and get the chance to be on a future spotlight episode of the show. That's ordinarytobadass.com/podcast. While you're waiting for the next episode of the show, wipe off the sweat, dust off the dirt, and get back in the arena.